Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing stop doing this to get your ex back. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing stop doing this to get your ex back. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you need to stop doing the following 3 things if you want an opportunity to one day reconnect. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is stop beating yourself up. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, one of the most common things that a dumpee will do is blame themselves for everything, metaphorically beating themselves up day after day after day. It's my fault this happened. It's my fault that happened. It's my fault this. It's my fault that. I now see things clearly. I look back and I think I made mistakes every single day. How could I have been so stupid? Why didn't I see this? I will never get another chance again. Nobody will ever love me. You get what I'm trying to say. Most dumpees will have at least a period of time where they do beat themselves up. Some dumpees continue to do this forevermore, and they can't be doing this. You can't be beating yourself up if you want to try to get your ex back. And the reason I say this is because if you want to reconnect with your ex, you need to have a stable mindset. You can't be somebody who is so nervous, who is so overwhelmed, who is so preoccupied with every single thing which has happened and every single thing that you believe is wrong with you. That is not going to help you come across as somebody who is confident, who is somebody who is dateable. If your ex was to see you right now, if he was to bump into you into the street, you would likely look a mess. You would likely look very unconfident. You would likely look dazed and confused. You would probably resemble a zombie. You're not really there in the present moment. Your mind is somewhere else. You're on autopilot. You do not look or seem attractive, or even somebody that could have a stable, coherent conversation. That, in my opinion, often stems from a dumpee continuously blaming themselves. You need to stop beating yourself up. Now look, I'm not saying don't take accountability. Please make sure you can differentiate these points. It's crucial you take accountability. And if you have done something which is obviously and clearly very wrong, such as cheating on your now former partner, you need to understand that was a huge error of judgment. You need to apologise, and you need to be making sure that these things never happen again. Now, whether or not you get the chance to reconnect with your ex, nobody can say for certain, but you can certainly be moving forward in a way where you don't make such big mistakes again. Even if you didn't make such a tremendous mistake, such as cheating on your now former partner, you probably will be looking at things and thinking, I could have done this better. That was an error. And the reason you can think that is because we're all human. I make mistakes, you make mistakes, your ex has made mistakes. We will continue to make mistakes in the future. All we can do is try to be a better person, learning from those errors and improving every single day. But once we look in the mirror, once we take accountability, we have to move forward. We can't just blame ourselves forever. You can only have one moment where you think about, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said this, maybe I should have said that. You can only have one moment where you consider this, accept this, understand this, and learn from this, and then you have to put it to bed. You can't keep going and going and going on this route where you just blame yourself every single day. Your self-esteem is already going to be low due to the fact that you've been dumped. You're going to be drilling it further into the ground. And like I said, that is not attractive. That is not something that people would feel comfortable speaking to you about anything really, because if they see you, it will come across that you are in your own world. You are blurry-eyed. You are not focusing on living in the moment. So, yes, take accountability, but please stop beating yourself up. Unless it was something which was tremendously bad, you need to move forward from this ASAP. And if it was something bad, apologize, learn from it. And again, you can't keep beating yourself up. It's not going to help you. Learn from it. Don't make the mistake again, but then you have to move forward. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help others. It's not going to help anybody if every single day you're punishing yourself for what you perceive to have done wrong. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about stop doing this to get your ex back. And point number 2 is stop blaming your ex for everything. So this is almost the opposite of point number 1. In point number 1, I was saying stop blaming yourself. In point number 2, I'm saying stop blaming your ex for everything. Now, let's flip this around. Let's imagine that your ex cheated on you and maybe they ended the relationship for whatever reason based on that infidelity. This isn't to say that they've ran off with anybody, but maybe they ended the relationship because you had an argument and they were the person who actually decided to call things off. And you can't believe it. You're thinking, this person has cheated on me, now they've ended the relationship? Well, that can be a very difficult situation to move forward from. But maybe you're the type of person who still wants to reconnect. You see this as a mistake. Perhaps your ex apologized, tried to give an explanation, and because you didn't seem to be forgiving them for it, they decided to end things before you did. But as time moves forward, perhaps you realize in your own mind that it was an error of judgment. You can forgive them, you believe, and you want to reconnect. If and when you hear from your ex again, then perhaps your ex-dumper reaches out once more. They have already hurt you, they've ended the relationship, and now they realise that they've been in the wrong for so many points. They reach out again and they say, look, I really, really, really want to try to work this out. And you, during this moment, decide you would like to move forward and reconnect. Well, you need to stop blaming your ex for everything. What I mean by this is clearly they've hurt you and done wrong by cheating on you, but that doesn't mean that they did every single thing wrong in the relationship. You can't throw everything at them. They're not going to want to reconnect. Let's imagine that your ex didn't cheat on you and it was a breakup which was not as severely based on one action. Well, again, if your ex-dumper contacts you, you can't be blaming them for everything. You can't be looking at every single little thing that's ever happened between you and keep throwing it at them because you are feeling hurt still that they ended a connection. If you want to reconnect, you both have to say your piece and you both have to forgive each other. If you decide to get back together, that means you put things in the past. You have to move forward from them. You can't reconnect, and then every single time there's a bump in the road, you throw everything at them. Oh, well, you dumped me. How can you say this? Oh, you cheated on me 10 years ago. How can you do this now? These are the things which, if you want to reconnect, you must accept their apology and you must move forward. If you don't believe you can forgive infidelity, then don't reconnect. If you don't believe you can forgive whatever it is that you believe they have done to you, in particular if you're just blaming them purely on the fact that they dumped you, if you can't get over that point, then you can't reconnect. You can't be living your life on eggshells. If your ex cheated on you or did something regarding some level of suspicion or secrecy, you can't live your new relationship continuously checking their phone. You can't be in a relationship where you say, look, you cheated on me, so every single day I'm going to check your phone all the way through. That is not healthy. If you can't trust somebody, don't be in a relationship with them. If you think that you can't believe somebody unless you're checking up on them, don't be in a relationship with them. So, whether this is something as severe as cheating, or like I said, it might have nothing to do with cheating. It might just be on the basis that they dumped you and you can't move forward from that point. You can't forgive them for dumping you. And every time there's a bump in the road, you're going to bring it up. Hey, look, you dumped me 2 years ago. I don't have to put up with your attitude now. And they're saying, what do you mean attitude? I just forgot to buy something from the shop. Why are you bringing this up now? Okay, ridiculous things like that might sound crazy to you as I say it, but people who are in the thick of it, these things happen. These types of confusing elements happen in people's minds, and this all stems from not forgiving your partner. So point number 1 was stop beating yourself up, and point number 2 is stop blaming your ex for everything. You can't hold grudges. You can't try to reconnect if you are living your life in the past in a way where you're blaming your ex for every single thing. Now, something else just to add on this, let's say you're not even at the stage of reconnecting and you're just living your life as a single person. Again, you can't be blaming your ex for everything. You can't be thinking, well, I was perfect, and my ex ended a relationship, it's all their fault, they're crazy, they should never have done that. I would say you need to look in the mirror and you need to be thinking, why did my ex end the relationship? Now, in point number 1, I was saying don't beat yourself up for everything, but you must take accountability. And that's what I'm saying in point number 2. If you think my ex is the crazy person, they've ended this for no reason, I was the perfect partner, look in the mirror metaphorically. Think about this. Was there something you did wrong? I would suggest you were not perfect, because I'm not perfect, your ex isn't perfect, and you're not perfect. Can you learn from something? Did you do something that now you think about logically, you can realise why they ended the relationship? Your ex, the dumper, only ended things because they felt the relationship couldn't continue in a way where they felt fulfilled and satisfied. So something wasn't clicking. So even if you aren't at the stage of reconnecting right now, don't blame your ex for everything. Yes, you might feel frustration and anger because they've broke your heart, but this doesn't mean they are the bad person in every single element. Try to see things in a logical way. Try to see things in a way which is fair and understanding, because if you ever do want to reconnect, you can't be moving into a new relationship with your ex in a way where you are angry and bitter. First of all, it probably won't even get that far because it's not attractive. And secondly, if you do somehow get it over the line in this way, it won't last very long if you're behaving in a negative frame of mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about stop doing this to get your ex back. And point number 3 is stop living in the past. So I've touched on this concept already in today's podcast, but you must stop living in the past. Sometimes people look at a new relationship with their now former partner, their now current partner, and say, this is a continuation. It is not. If you get your ex back, this is a brand new relationship. So you can't be judging things within the past. You can't be saying, well, this didn't happen back then, because now you're in a new relationship. Imagine you got into a new relationship with somebody brand new you've only recently just met. This is how you have to see your new connection with your former, now current partner. This is a new relationship. It's not a continuation of the old. So stop living in the past. Stop trying to live in a way which you felt was acceptable back then, because it's not now. Whoever was most at fault for the relationship breaking down, and in my opinion and research and experience, is often both people that aren't connecting so much. It's very rarely that it's just one person 100% of why something breaks down. But if you were to look and think, okay, this person was potentially more at fault, you can't just think, well, I'm going to be living my life exactly the same way because I was fine before, I'm fine now. No, you can't do this because you have to grow. Both of you are growing. If you're the same person at 40 as you were at 20, that would suggest that you haven't grown. And the same can be said within relationships. Even if there's only 6 months to a year in between all of these events, you need to be living in a way where you have clearly grown. Your ex needs to have grown, and hopefully you're growing in the same direction. Sometimes people can look back and think, well, I'm the same person as I was then, and that's absolutely fine. Well, unfortunately, your ex may have outgrown you. Often, ironically, it's dumpees who do the most work after a breakup, and they have grown to a point that if and when their ex-dumper comes back, the dumpee no longer feels they're on the same wavelength. That is more common than you might think. As a dumpee, you're probably thinking, well, that's crazy, I wouldn't turn down my ex-dumper. I really, really want to reconnect. But let me tell you, so many reconnections unfortunately end after a short period of time, not because the dumper ends things again, but because the dumpee decides this is no longer working. Because they've put in so much effort, so much growth, they are now at a higher point than their ex was. And when they get back together, the dumper hasn't done any growth. The dumpee has grown much, much more. And now the dumpee can really see the opportunities ahead of them and realise that they could find somebody even better than their dumper. So, point number 3, stop living in the past. make sure you grow, make sure you put in the work, and stop judging your past relationship to your current relationship. This is new. This is a new journey, a new path, and you both need to grow. So you can only do your side of things, so make sure that you are. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.